And it's been a while because I've been busy, I'll just be honest. But we do have a guest with us here today. So if you don't mind introducing yourself, let us know what you do, and we'll get into the one question we'll be asking.
Awesome. Thank you, Armando. It's great to be here with you today. My name is Rebecca Snelling. I am a consultant in the lean design and construction space, and I spend most of my time coaching organizations and leadership on transformation with a heavy focus on culture.
So you are the expert. That's what I get out of that introduction. So with you being the expert, I do have one question. What is a pull plan?
What is a pull plan?
I'm sorry, the false start there, flag on me. So let me preface it a little bit. The reason why I ask is because I hear many definitions of a pull plan. So perceptions are real, right, to a lot of people. So when I ask what is a pull plan, part of that question might be what is the purpose of a pull plan? But I've heard that a pull plan is meant to get a construction project done faster. I've also heard that a pool plan is as POOL, swimming pool. POOL as in shooting pool. POOL as in pooling resources, and I think that's the right way to spell that word. But the reason why I'm asking is that there's so many perceptions and there's a lot of ignorance. So with that being the case, can you help clear that question and perception?
Absolutely. And in fact, I'll add one more misconception that I've heard, that it is pulling the information out of the subcontractors, PULL. So I had to pull the info out of you. So you're right. There are a ton of different interpretations and understandings. And really what a pull plan is, and the way I like to think about it, is really more of a phase pull plan. When you're taking a phase of the construction project or design project, you're getting together with the people who will be ultimately delivering that, and you're working together to agree on the sequence and flow in the most efficient path and identify any constraints that might be in the way. Now, the word pull is actually in there because you are, each of those parties participating in the phase pull plan themselves are viewing each other as customers of one another's work. So the painter is the customer of the drywall installer. So one of the really key critical things in an effective pull plan is that those two people, the customer and performer of that work, are having really clear conversations about what done actually looks like. And so then the work is getting planned at the pull of the customer who needs that work. So you start at the end and you work your way backwards, just like you do with every other really important thing in life where you have a key critical milestone you need to hit and you don't want to waste a bunch of time getting there.
That's pretty simple. So that is also big picture, but it can be simplified, and I guess just hearing your definition of it, I'm hearing respect for people. That's what I'm hearing. You're saying customer, but is it okay for me to associate respect for people in that conversation?
Absolutely. I mean, the reality of it is the people who are ultimately the ones who have to deliver that work are the ones that we're asking to actually contribute to the plan for delivering that work. At this point, they're really negotiating between themselves what the handoffs are from one trade to the next, and really talking about the best way to coordinate that plan.
Okay, so let's just say in your experience, because you're talking about from the beginning, at the inception, let's take project startup. If you start off with the right premise, you're going to get the right results. So that respect for people, to me, you have to make it personal, and you talk about customers, and it's great, right? The customer is always right. When it comes to a time frame, have you ever, in your experience, worked with a team where the time frame was just not achievable because reality won?
Yes. So in fact, there's one particular project comes to mind. It's the renovation of a state capitol building somewhere in our country. And they did a phase pull plan, and the MEP trade needed a certain amount of time to get all of their materials prefabbed and get them onto the site. And there was just not enough time in the original schedule to build it in a way that would allow the work to flow and be done correctly. And it was funny because the general contractor superintendent actually threw up his hands and said, pull planning doesn't work, see? We said, whoa, wait a second. The schedule doesn't work. And God forbid if we hadn't done this pull plan, then we wouldn't have known it wasn't going to work until we were halfway through delivering the work. And then we would have been late and not able to recoup any time or resequence other work or do anything to work around it. So yes, there absolutely have been times where it exposes that the previous planning for a project has not been adequate. There have also been other times where it exposes the other way around, that there's more time than we need in the original plan.
So I hope everyone has their sarcasm meters on, but I'm pretty sure that superintendent, without the help of the pull plan, would have just yelled louder, screamed, fussed, and it would have got done on time. I'm totally sure that would have happened.
I'm sure that magically would have worked, right? Because that usually does.
So I do appreciate the term exposed, because when you expose reality, that's what you have to deal with. I mean, you might be able to brainstorm and maybe find a different path, but that's, to me, is what those sessions are all about, is having the conversation. Okay, what can we do? And let's work around what we can do, as opposed to trying to work with a plan that needs to be adjusted. And that's PDCA, right? For the people, the layman or woman or other, can you explain what PDCA is?
Sure. So PDCA it stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. And you build your plan, and then you check against it. And while you're building your plan, you create a hypothesis. What do you expect as your outcome? And then you check against it as you deliver your work, and then you adjust your plan going forward, which really is a whole that lies through the entire last planner system, right? All the in the phase pull planning component of it is when teams are building their plan and their hypothesis. Right. And then they go in the weekly work plan, they fine tune that and tighten it up, and then they execute that plan. And then during the daily huddles, they check in and say, hey, where were we on? Where were we off? And, you know, one of the things with all of the components of the last planner system that I really love about it, it allows us to take a proactive approach on the problems that we otherwise won't understand we have until we trip over them in the field.
I love it, because it's you're talking about the whole, you know, and it getting back to the pull planning. There's a system, right? And you have parts of the system. What you described, because I've got a pea brain and I can only think about so much at one time. I can only process so much. But what I call it is squeezing the job. So you have a big job, you break it down into little pieces, and then you squeeze the job, and then you figure out, oh, I didn't actually think about that. Now that we have it in focus, we're able to see what got squeezed out and adjust. Jocko Willink, The Dichotomy of Leadership, he wrote that book. Great book, I recommend it. But he says the best teams make flexible plans, and I love it. I appreciate your flexibility. I appreciate your time. Thank you for explaining pull planning and then getting into a little bit more into the last planner system. Thank you so much. You got any shout outs, any plugs that you want to do for any books, anything that you got going on, websites?
I would just say if you want to learn more about me, visit me on LinkedIn or on my website, Rebecca at RebeccaSnelling.com. And I would close this with a quote that is credited to Eisenhower. Plans are useless, but planning is essential.
And then Mike, thanks, Rebecca.